Tonight from New York City, across from Manhattan, we are in the borough of Queens. Some late afternoon showers killed batting practice. Both teams had to hit inside, but it seems like it's cleared up. We are ready for baseball game 2 of this 4-game set between the Rockies and the Mets. An official welcome to Flushing Meadows with Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. Jenny Kavnar along in a little bit. Leading off for the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon. He's at 291 with the 29 stolen bases among the major league leaders in that category. Here's the Southwest batting order tonight for Walt Weiss. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The former Met who got a nice reception last night, Jose Reyes, will bat second. Cargo, what can you say about him? 5 bombs in 5 games. Arenado after that, then Ben Paulson, DJ LeMahieu, Nick Hundley, Kyle Parker batting 8th in left field, and a good hitting pitcher in Chris Russin. Matt Harvey's on the mound. His record a little deceptive. I mean, still pretty good at 10-7, but the ERA would suggest an even better record than that. This is one of the dominant arms in the game.
Well, and this road trip kind of continues as far as facing a starter that has a dominant resume, and Matt Harvey is one of those guys, an all-star back in 2013, finished 4th in the Cy Young voting that year. A lot of strikeouts, very few walks. In fact, 0 walks in his last 20 2/3 innings for Mr. Harvey.
And we're underway. The first pitch of the ball game is just outside the zone at 96. There's no warming up really with Harvey.
That's his warm-up pitch.
Yeah, he's going to start at 96, and he'll bump it up a couple clicks from there. And this is fouled off. It's 1-1. Very pleasant night. 78 degrees is our game time temperature. Charlie has faced Harvey 7 times. He's 1 for 7 against him.
Well, Matt has 2 starts against Colorado. 1-0 with the ERA below 1.
And this is hit in the air to left center field. Cespedes nonchalantly makes a catch. I think he confused his new teammate Ruben Tejada. Tejada's going out there. He goes, does he have it?
I don't know. Cespedes just kind of had it down here by the side. I got it. Started in center field last night, moved to left field. Look at this. Just drifting. Okay. What are you worried about?
Well, let's take a look at the Mets defensively. Yoenis Cespedes is in left field. Juan Lagares is in center. Michael Kadire back in action. Came off the DL yesterday. Did not start, though. He's in right field, and it's Uribe, Tejada, Flores, Murphy at first base with Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate. Here's Jose Reyes, and we mentioned a moment ago, he got the great response from the crowd, and I talked to Jose about it in the clubhouse earlier, and he said, it's kind of interesting. It, warmed my heart. He said, but I was here earlier this year with Toronto, and they were very nice to me when I came in with Toronto. He said, but now I came back with the Rockies, and it was an even bigger ovation.
American League team, National League team.
It must have been something to it.
That's what it had to have been.
Jose, immensely popular when he came up with David Wright, and those two became the co-faces of this organization. Both hit the big leagues as teenagers. That's a good pitch from Harvey.
And Harvey is a 4-pitch mix of pitches. Fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup.
2-2, and this is bounced to second. Wilmer Flores has it, and there are 2 outs. 2 outs, nobody on, and that'll bring up Carlos Gonzalez. He gave the Rockies a 2-1 lead last night by going opposite field to left center with a line drive blast. His 26th home run of the year.
We saw the pitches a moment ago for Matt Harvey. His fastball will be at 96, slider at 90, curveball at 84, and his changeup is a very hard changeup at 89 miles an hour.
Carr goes 0 for 3, a couple strikeouts against Harvey. And that runs off the plate. Here's that ball he hit out last night against Jonathan Neese. That pitch was off the plate.
It looked like a right-handed pull hitter hit that ball.
And this ball's a shot at the second baseman, Flores, and he's going to throw out Cargo. So Harvey, a 1-2-3 beginning. Ready to go. Juan Lagares, the center fielder for the Mets, will be first. The Mets winning 4-2 last night, scoring 3 runs off the Rockies bullpen in the 7th inning. And here's their lineup tonight. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It'll be Daniel Murphy batting second, and then the new big acquisition, Yoenis Cespedes at 289. Juan Uribe comes over. She's 13 this year. Cuddy's in there in the 5-hole. Wilmer Flores, Travis d'Arnaud hit a home run last night. Ruben Tejada will bat 8th, and Matt Harvey.
All against Chris Russin tonight. Has never faced the Mets before. In fact, has never pitched in New York City. Never faced the Yankees.
I don't think that's going to bother him at all. One of the things we've learned about him is he brings a focus to every start. His last start against Seattle was solid. 3 runs in 5 innings. That's lined down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Cargo gets it out of the corner. It'll be a leadoff double for Lagares.
Lagares has been shuffled in and out of the lineup. Now that Cespedes is here in his last 34 games, hitting 189, and takes a pitch and slices it down into the corner in right field for the leadoff double. His 12th double this season.
So here's Daniel Murphy. He's battled the injury bug a little bit this year. When right, this is a good hitter.
Professional hitter.
Yes, he is.
He knows what to do at the plate. Even last night, listening to his comments after the ball game, he said, I saw a big hole between short and third, and so I was trying to hit the ball over there. And he snuck one past the diving Jose Reyes to drive in a couple runs in that 7th inning.
Murphy has a 7-game hitting streak going, 12 for his last 29 during that stretch. Misses away 1-1. He's one of the hardest guys in the National League to strike out. The guy tougher, in fact, Andrelton Simmons of the Atlanta Braves.
27 strikeouts, 333 at bats.
He's a better hitter than Simmons, though.
Yes. He'll use the whole field. He'll go line to line.
How about that group? Because Buster Posey, a guy who can hit it out of the ballpark, doesn't strike out much. Ben Revere's a run guy, speed guy. That was surprising. And Joe Panik, who's a New York area kid. Think about the Giants and how they've hung in there. Two young guys, in a lot of ways, leading the way. This is in the year to Parker in left. You have Matt Duffy also with Joe Panik. Panik's got a little more experience than Duffy, but both of those guys hitting right in the middle
Duffy's
of that lineup.
hit third most nights.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. One out, and that'll bring up Yoenis Cespedes. Sandy Alderson, Jeff, had to do something with all the pitching the Mets have, and with them hanging around 500. The big issue was, could they score runs? And so he made a couple of significant moves. I mean, I think the Juan Uribe move is a good move. I mean, Juan's older, but Juan can hit. And then getting Cespedes, who's a legitimate middle-of-the-order extra base hit guy.
That's what they were missing. That bopper hitting 3 or 4 in their lineup. They just hadn't had that in a number of years. I mean, sometimes the Mets have been trying to get by with just bits and pieces here and there. But you have Juan Uribe, who he picks up, can play third base, pinch hit, right-handed bat coming off the bench. Cespedes, you get Kadire back. You talked about David Wright on a rehab assignment last night for the first time in a long time.
David was 1 for 3 last night. Yeah, the lineup lengthens out. And with their pitching, it's not like you need a bunch of runs typically.
Well, their starters have been stingy giving up runs.
It's the 1-0 to Cespedes. This is popped up and out of play. Cespedes at Citi Field just 1 for 11. He's done some damage on the road since putting on a Mets uniform. Had that 3 double ball game down in Miami.
I don't think the air, the fences, any of that affects him. It's just a case of just hasn't gotten enough at bats here yet.
You may recall in 2013 when the All-Star game was at Citi Field, he won the Home Run Derby here. Pick play, just did get a hand back in as DJ LeMahieu applied the tag on Lagares.
They'll stall for a minute to take a replay look at this. It looked close. The timing was outstanding. DJ flashing his hand. He's safe. But DJ with the flash of the hand, it's that daylight play from the second baseman, and then the timing by the pitcher where he spins and makes a throw at the same time.
Two balls and a strike on the former Oakland A. That ball's line, but it's right at Parker. 2 outs. Two-gone Juan Uribe will be coming up, but first let's take a look at the Rockies' alignment defensively. It's Parker Blackmon and Gonzalez in the outfield. Arenado, Reyes, LeMahieu, Paulson in the infield with Nick Hundley doing the catching. That was a tough error on DJ last night. In fact, I was talking to Howie Rose, longtime radio voice of the Mets, and he was confounded as to how they could give LeMahieu and Aaron. Hopefully they still have some time left. Maybe they can take that back.
And I've heard the Mets are thinking about sending that tape in and having it reviewed. Well, anytime somebody dives for a ball and slides and then has to come up and make a throw, I know it pulled the bent off the bag at first, and we're used to seeing DJ make that play, but it wasn't an ordinary play. by any stretch of the imagination.
One and one on Uribe. It seems every other series, whoever the Rockies play, Juan Uribe shows up on the other team.
Dodgers, Braves.
Some of the Rockies were giving him a hard time last night. He's at third. He said, dude, we just saw you. You know what team you play for now? And Uribe pops this up. A lot of foul ground on both sides, and Paulson makes the catch. Ben takes advantage of it, and Chris Russin works out of it after the leadoff double by Lagares. Nice job, Chris. Brought to you by your hometown Toyota stores. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. No score at Citi Field in Flushing Meadows, Queens, as we go to the top of the second inning. Nolan Arenado will face Matt Harvey. Nolan with 27 home runs, 81 driven in. One for three career-wise against Harvey. First pitch strike from Harvey almost 71% of the time. It's fourth best in baseball. Max Scherzer's number one.
Some of the lists that Harvey is on, you mentioned first pitch strikes. It's 70.4. John Lackey's not a hard thrower. You got the two guys in Scherzer and Harvey. If you're talking anything, I think close to 60% is a good number. But for Matt Harvey, he's with the fastball velocity, he's third in the major leagues. It's showing the hardest average fastball. His teammate Syndergaard is number one. He's three.
You want to hear the most disgusting thing of all? They say Steven Matz may ultimately be the best of the bunch. This ball's lined to left. But there's Cespedes. Was it on transition? Yeah, it was on the transition. The out call made by Chad Fairchild, and I think that's the right call. EY's telling Nolan to stay at first base so they can take a look at it.
And Chad Fairchild called it an out. Nolan staying at first. The official scorer announced it as an E7. Oh. So it was on the transfer. Catch it. Boy, I didn't have control for too long.
Well,
But
I don't think they're going to overturn
no, they're
that.
not going to overturn.
Because it gloves up, and as he turns it over to get the baseball out, that's when it.
I agree, but it's a case where it was pretty fast after.
It was closer than you thought watching it live.
Yes.
Then Paulson swings and misses. But anyhow, people close to the Mets, as good as Harvey is, as good as the potential for Syndergaard, and he's been outstanding at times. Jacob deGrom. They say Max because he has the same kind of stuff as Harvey, but it's from the left side.
And he showed it in his couple starts that he had for the Mets.
He's going to be out on a rehab shortly. He's coming back.
And that was part of my discussion, our discussion in the Open, where they might go to a 6-man rotation in September.
First strikeout of the ball game for Harvey as he gets Ben Paulson. That'll bring up LeMahieu. Rockies fans, you can join in on the conversation each and every night. Send us your thoughts or photos. Utilize Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and make sure you include the hashtag Toyota Talk. DJ is familiar with Matt Harvey, and not just from facing him in the big leagues. He's 0 for 5 against him in the big leagues, but LSU played Carolina in college. He faced him there. He also faced him out on the Cape.
Harvey's from Connecticut, lives in Mystic, Connecticut now. Nice little seaport town.
You think about some of the guys in this Mets staff, some of them are local. I mean, Harvey's somewhat local. Matz is from Long Island. 1 and 2, the slider missed. DJ at 317. And that is fielded fair, and DJ beat it. So Uribe fields it in fair territory. It looked like it probably would have gone foul. And the way LeMahieu gets out of the box, it's an infield hit for DJ.
Juan, trouble on the transfer. And DJ hustling hard, and it will go down as a base hit for DJ. That's why you always run hard, never assume anything, and you get a knock out of it.
So DJ a threat to steal. 15 out of 18 bags. Nick Hundley a couple hits last night. Now with 2 outs, I know you're in the bottom of the order, but you don't figure you get a ton off of Harvey. And with the base stealer out there and a guy who's hitting .303 at the plate, it may be worthwhile.
Get your timing, the first pitch, to see how you feel. Do you feel like I can get a jump? What's the track like underneath the surface? There's some moisture early in the day. I know the tarp was on, but how does it feel when you go to take off? Travis d'Arnaud, 5 for 16, throwing out would-be base stealers 31%.
One 1-0 on Hundley. And it's 2-0. Not likely to go here.
No, let Nick try to hunt one on a fastball. An early 2-0 lead.
On the outside corner, 2-1.
Not a pitch you want to swing at. 2-0. Paints the black away.
He's going to throw his fastball more than 60% of the time, and as Jeff mentioned, he is a 4-pitch pitcher, and he pretty much evenly distributes the curveball, slider, changeup. There goes DJ. Big jump, and he'll steal his 16th base. So he's out there for Hundley. Nick's got a 3-1 count to work with.
Pretty easy pitch for DJ to steal on. Just a bad throw from d'Arnaud. He skipped it down there to second base.
Benito Santiago wouldn't have gotten it.
Not from his knees. He threw it better from his knees than he did when he come out of his crouch.
Pitcher better dug. 3-1. And this ball's clubbed deep left field. Did he get enough of it? Cespedes in the middle of the track. He got it on the barrel. Just got underneath it a smidgen. So the Rockies leave LeMahieu in scoring position.
Kadire will lead things off for the Mets. Kadire was a free agent in the offseason, chose the New York Mets because of the proximity to his home in Virginia Beach, a quick 35-minute flight that he can get home, see the family on off days. But more importantly, he wants to be part of a winning team. Coming off the disabled list yesterday, this is his first start. He's had that nagging knee injury. And in fact, it's Michael Conforto that's really won that spot in the outfield, but that's okay to Michael Kadire.
For me, it's about winning. At the point that I'm at in my career, I just want to win ball games. I want to get into the postseason and play in October again. So whatever Terry Collins, our manager, asks of me, that's what I'm about. He's going to put the best team he feels like is going to give us a chance to win that game. And if I'm in it, great. I'm going to go out and do my job. If I'm not, I'm going to be a cheerleader and hopefully come in the 8th or 9th inning and get a big pinch hit.
Of course, a very different role for Michael Kadire. He had his best season with the Rockies in 2013 when he won the National League batting title. Now hitting just .250. He said his personal numbers are down. He's had that nagging knee injury. And as this ball is flied out to right field to his old teammate in Cargo, he really enjoys the environment that he's in, guys, and said, again, it's a very different stage of his career. It's not about the personal numbers. It's about the team. And we know that Michael Kadire is such a good clubhouse guy. I think for Sandy Alderson, that was important to have a leader like that with a lot of these young guys in the Mets clubhouse.
Listen, Michael Kadire will have an impact to pick up on your point, Jenny. It will be a positive impact, not only in the clubhouse, which he'll always have, but he'll help this team. He'll get some big hits down the stretch for the Mets. He can still swing it. He's not as healthy as he used to be. And, you and I both chatted with him for a while. One of the things when you get to 36 in that age, things don't heal as fast.
They don't, and it's harder to get up in the morning. So I think for him to be able to say, I'm not an everyday player, I go out there and play hard for my 1 or 2 days and I get a day off, that's a good thing at his point in his career.
But wouldn't you agree? I mean, he still has the ability.
He still has enough talent and the ability to still make an impact for this team.
Yeah, this is not some guy who's broken down, can't play anymore. A one-out single for Wilmer Flores. Listen to that crowd. This kid became a folk hero when he learned he was traded, and he was literally visibly crying on the field. He was emotional. And then, of course, the trade got rescinded. And Mets fans who you played here, you know how passionate they are. They can be tough, but they can be really passionate. When they saw how badly this kid wanted to be a Met, I mean, he's now really adored. And they also saw it, interestingly, when they went to Miami and Tampa, where there's a lot of displaced New Yorkers.
Yeah, and for him to be out on the field and then show the emotion like he did, thinking he was traded via Twitter, it started to take on a shape and a life of its own. But then he's come back and standing ovation before he came to the plate. But he's also hitting .321 since the day he was, quote, almost traded.
So they'll continue to stand for a while.
Yes.
You hit .321, we will really love you.
Yeah, but I think they understand how hard and this is a kid that signed with the Mets when he was 16. And so he has been a Met through and through. I mean, it's bleeding blue in his system.
Two and one on Travis d'Arnaud. Chris Russin looking for a ground ball. Cargo in deep right will have room.
Yoga Day is back for the 2015 season, and it's next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, I should say, August 15th. Purchase the Yoga Day ticket package to receive exclusive pregame field access for the hour-long yoga session and a Rockies-themed promotional item.
You going?
Well, it's before the game.
Where are you going?
No, if it was after, maybe.
You taking a yoga class?
Not a full-length, hour-long yoga class.
So you did like a couple moves and quit?
I said, yeah, I'm out.
You done?
Yeah. I was to the point where I was starting to hurt.
You had to hold in certain positions a little longer than was comfortable?
Longer than what I said,
yeah,
or what my body said I should.
Ruben Tejada swings and misses. Nice off-speed pitch by Chris Russin. Tejada wants to hear more cheers. He's got to hit at home. He's hitting .197 at Citi Field. .316, however, out on the road. You know what's kind of strange, Huey, and again, you played all over the infield. You're a natural shortstop. Tejada was playing second for a good portion of time, and Wilmer Flores was the shortstop. And they finally discovered that Tejada's the better shortstop and Flores is probably the better second baseman, and they basically had flip-flopped.
You would have thought they would have figured that out in the minor leagues, because you'll do that in the minor leagues with guys. You'll play, especially two guys like they have, where you'll play one for a couple days at short, the other at second, then flip-flop them for 2 days.
A little different, huh?
Yeah, but now they're doing it at the big leagues, and Flores, is a better fielder, doesn't have the pop that Wilmer Flores has. Tejada's a better fielder. But Flores is a better hitter. But since he's moved to second base in the last 27 ball games, 0 errors for Wilmer.
So right now it's working out. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs. Flores at first. And Russin goes soft away. He can be careful. He has Harvey on deck. Now, Harvey's not a slouch at the plate. The other thing about all these young Met phenoms, they're good athletes. They all give you a competitive at bat.
Harvey has a home run on the season. So we got 2 pitchers in the game that have a home run this year.
That's the other thing about Steven Matz. Matz can really swing the bat. Here's the 3-1 from Russin, and that's in there, 3-2. Ben Paulson's going to go and move a step or 2 behind Flores here.
Not too far behind, so he doesn't get an extra 2 or 3 steps running off of first base. Stay right in his hip pocket and jockey with him back and forth.
On the ground is short. Reyes will have to go the long way. Low throw, but it got there in the air. Paulson with the play at first, and another solid inning for Chris Russell. Wilmer Flores left the board. We'll go to the third. No score at Citi Field. Harvey in the top half of inning number 3. Time for our Subaru eyesight review. They'll determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru. Walt's got his dad in town. Of course, Walt grew up in Rockland County, about 45 minutes from here. High school star there, and went on to North Carolina, which is where Matt Harvey played his college baseball in Chapel Hill. Walt's dad's up from Florida. His dad lives down in just outside of Orlando now. He came up for.
He also has an uncle here that lives in New Jersey. He came over.
Parker swings at the first pitch, popped up. Ruben Tejada calling for it. 1 pitch, 1 out. Walt's dad's a funny man. Met him a number of years ago at fantasy camp, and he brought a close friend of his, and his first name escapes me. His last name was Rizzo, and the reason I can't remember his first name is that was back when Clint was the manager, and Clint was the commissioner and a great one of fantasy camp, and he wore out Walt's dad and Rizzo. Everything was Rizzo.
Just last name, that's it.
So here's Chris Russell. And Chris takes a strike.
Fantasy camp, folks, if you haven't been, you need to go. You need to put it on your bucket list because it is a blast.
Oh, there's a bunt attempt. That's going to go fast. How about the old man, 17, showing up this year?
Yes, he is.
Now, listen, in your locker room, your coach's locker room, He's now a rookie coach, so he gets a smaller locker in the corner,
He gets a smaller locker, and then he has to make sure that he brings some of the other coaches
breakfast, that sort of thing.
Yeah, drinks. That's what the rookie coaches do.
You have to pick up jocks too.
I think he'll probably draw the line there.
Russet fouls that off. Chris, a home run a couple weeks ago in St. Louis against Carlos Martinez. He can catch up to a fastball.
Carlos 97 average fastball. He turned that around.
On the ground to first. And, you know, you could hear in the background Daniel Murphy telling Matt Harvey, get there, because Russet ran hard.
Yeah, I think that caught Matt Harvey by surprise with Chris getting down the line. You see how he had to reach and lunge at the last moment? Because he can feel that and sense where that runner is right behind him. He gets him by a half a step. And listen to it. Twice he said, get there, get there.
Two outs. Charlie Blackmon will come up. Charlie, a fly ball to left field his first time. Rockies 2-2 so far on this trip. Took 2 out of 3 in Washington, much to the delight of Mets fans. Rockies couldn't hold a 2-1 lead last night in the 7th. Breaking ball in there for a strike.
Washington beat the Dodgers 8-3 last night.
With a separation, a game and a half. The Mets in first place, 0-1. And that curveball missed, 1-1. Go back to the start of 2014. Look at this. Blackmon has the 3rd most hits in the National League. Interesting sequence from Harvey. 3 pitches in a row, none of them fastballs.
Charlie flew out to left field his first at bat on a fastball. But now you think, you're standing in that box, you think, well, he's throwing 3 off-speed pitches. Is he going to throw a 4th? That curveball.
You got to still think fastball, don't you?
You do, but he shook to 3 different pitches.
That was a change.
And for his changeup, it is a circle change.
2-2. And there it is again. And it misses 3-2. So he's pitching, forget backwards. This is so uncharacteristic of Harvey, one of the best fastballs in the game. He's not thrown one here in this sequence. And he never did. A 1-2-3 3rd inning for Harvey. Middle of 3, no score at Citi Field. strong fan, you just might see yourself in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. That is the 7 train. That's how we're going to get back to Manhattan after the ball game. Huey and I were just discussing that.
Yeah, not on that one because that's the local. It makes all the stops. We need the Diamond one so we get the Express.
We need the Express. Next stop, Grand Central.
42nd Street.
Matt Harvey at the plate. There's a strike.
Yeah, so if you come out here to Citi Field, it's the 7 train. If you go to the Bronx, it's the 4 train.
Keep it simple, right?
That's right.
He pops it up. Paulson not going to have enough room for a play. The Mets sent out an email yesterday already offering potential playoff tickets, World Series tickets, and oh, by the way, you can renew your tickets for 2016.
So the priority list, you might be a little higher? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, take advantage of that the Mets are playing well. Oh, what a play by Reyes. And he'll take a base hit away from Matt Harvey. Nice job, Jose Reyes.
Well, that's a play that Mets fans saw early in his career when he played over 1,500 games here. Slides to his left and an easy toss to first base. Matt Harvey had started out of the box thinking it was a base hit. And saw Reyes come up with it and shut it down.
That's a great play by Jose. Juan Lagares, the leadoff hitter for the Mets. He doubled down the right field line his first time, and DJ was leaning the other direction. And that is shot into right center field for a single.
I don't think DJ got good traction to start off with. DJ starts to take off, and you see the feet come out immediately. It's a frustrating feeling as an infielder. His feet can't grab quick enough through the cleats.
Lagares, 7 stolen bases this year at 10 attempts. 1 out. Murphy at the plate. Chased up. Interesting cloud formation and the sun breaking through here in the late evening, 8 o'clock local time.
Supposed to be a nice day tomorrow and again on Thursday.
Yeah, it's supposed to be beautiful. Murphy with a base hit to center field. Fourth hit for the Mets. And 2 on for Yoenis Cespedes. Chris Russin with his first real situation in the game. Cespedes lined out hard to Kyle Parker in left. On the outside corner, well located.
And that's how you have to pitch Cespedes. Try to stay away from his power. Most of his power is inside. 51 extra base hits or total bases. That's 9th in the major leagues. Guy can drive it to both gaps.
And that's a strike. 0-2 on the 29-year-old. And he went. Good pitching by Russet. Changed his eye level.
Down, down, up.
Great sequence by Chris Russin to strike out Yoenis Cespedes, his first strikeout of the ball game. Cespedes now just 1 for 13 at Citi Field.
And for Chris, he has to do that just to show it. But that's a pitch that is up by the letters. But when you throw the ball down consistently, you go up, it shocks the hitter. He sees his ball up, he says, oh, now's my chance, but it's too high.
Juan Uribe fouled out to first. And on the outer edge, that's a strike. Juan just 3 for his last 29 at the plate. Traveling the country, began the year with the Dodgers, then on to Atlanta, and he's up in the Northeast with the Mets.
Some guys would look at it like, oh, I'm not wanted. I think Juan looks at it like, hey, I'm wanted by another club.
Yep. He's always going to be a dangerous bat. Even though that pitch missed, I like what he did there. He had shown a way away to a couple of hitters, including obviously the one he's facing, came in.
You have to stand up a hitter. You have to stand him up. Can't let him just fall into a pattern of everything being away from the right-hander.
On the ground, foul. Russin's throwing some good changeups. We'll see if he goes in that direction. Lagares at second, Murphy at first. 2 outs, no score, bottom of 3. He went fastball, and it's 3-2. Now you're going to get movement on the bases.
And you're also going to have to get the infielders to throw across the diamond. So if it's a longer reach in the throw instead of the short one, that makes it more difficult.
A popular move with a 3-2 count, 2 outs.
And rightfully so. You keep that runner at second base from grabbing just even an extra stride. That's good.
3-2, and it's a high pop-up, shallow left. Arenado and Reyes, it'll be Jose. He makes the catch, and again, Chris Russin does a nice job, this time with 2 men aboard. We'll go to the 4th, still scoreless. Jenny Kavnar in a moment. Who wants tacos? When the Rockies score 7 or more in any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Make sure you do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. For the Rockies in the 4th, it'll be Reyes, Cargo, and Arenado. But before all of that, here's Jenny Kavnar. Jenny?
Well, speaking of Jose Reyes, Drew, he was on the Mets squad that last made the playoffs in 2006. It's clear with the moves they made at the trade deadline. They are in a pennant race to get back to the postseason. And for Reyes, I asked him earlier this week if he thinks Sandy Alderson made the right move since he knows this team and this chemistry makeup to make it all the way.
If they continue to pitch the way they're pitching, I mean, I don't see them, why not competing through September and make it to the playoffs. But like I say, it's matter of consistent. You have to. This is the last month and a half on baseball. You know, you have to be playing consistent baseball if you want to make it to the playoffs. So, like I say, I wish all the best. You know, now I'm in the National League, so I don't want to see they win because I'm in the National League too. But I wish all the best, no doubt.
Well, Jose Reyes talking about that consistency. The Mets have won 8 of their last 10 games, but the previous 10-game stretch, they only won 4 games. So we'll see how they string things together here down the stretch. They are leading Washington by a game and a half in the NL East coming into today. And as I mentioned, since trade deadline, 7-2. So we'll see if the chemistry's there. See if the Mets can't make it back in October, Drew.
Yeah, we were talking to Michael Kadire about that, and he likes the chemistry in the Mets clubhouse. Said it's young, a lot of young players over there. That pitching staff that's so often talked about. It's outside. The nucleus there is young. They brought in some salty guys now. I mean, Uribe's going to help out in that clubhouse. Obviously, you know what Kadire will do.
Yeah, and that's what Sandy Alderson was trying to do, to just give Terry Collins a few more options, especially on that bench when guys aren't starting, because they had some young kids out there. They had the Conforto kid, the kid they called up from Double-A. I mean, you don't want him going out there every single day in in August and September when you have a veteran guy that you can spell him with, especially against a tough left-handed pitcher.
This ball's pretty well hit to center field, and going back and making the play is Lagares, the Gold Glove center fielder. It's an interesting route. It was an L, which you don't generally look for, but the ball's not carrying at all. Because I thought off the bat, Reyes hit that ball better than it turned out.
And in this ballpark, it just seems to die. And this ball did into the glove of Lagares, but he just didn't have to go very far to get that.
Maybe it takes a guy like this fella at the plate to put the barrel to one.
There's no wall or no heavy air for Cargo. Everybody else there is, but when you are swinging the bat like he is and what he's done, 26 home runs, 22 since June 1st.
MLB stat of the day. Fouled off. Cargo, check this out. He has 16 home runs in his last 28 games. We were talking about that incredible run Tulowitzki went on that September several years ago, and he hit 15 home runs, 40 driven in. The 16 home runs in a 28-game span, the second Rocky player ever to do it. The other one, Dante Bichette, 1995. That's how hot Cargo is. Called strike. Cargo hit the ball pretty sharply his first time, but on one hop at Wilmer Flores, who's on the outfield grass. And he got him with, that looked either like a changeup or a sinker. It was probably a changeup, but it did drop quite a bit.
Second time through the lineup, Matt Harvey has changed up whatever he did the first time. Second strikeout of the day, he just turned that circle change over. Got Carlos reaching for it. Fans, the first 10,000 of you through the gate on Saturday, August 15th, receive a lunch bag courtesy of King Soopers. Get your tickets to the game against the San Diego Padres today, and don't miss out on the lunch bag.
Nolan hit a line shot, but right at the left fielder Cespedes. 2 outs, nobody on. The Rockies' only base runner. DJ had an infield hit with 2 outs in the second. Harvey said Jeff said Harvey with just 2 strikeouts. So he's not racking up the punch outs, but he's definitely controlling the Rockies lineup right now. No score. We're in the top of the 4th.
Very simple delivery from Harvey. That's why he's able to repeat it. Doesn't walk guys. I mean, he starts on the same side of the rubber every time, right on the first base side. He had drawn a line to home plate to make sure he stayed directionally right. Just a slight twist, bring the hands up, separate, and he's gone. Big guy, 6'4", 215 pounds.
Yeah, he's got the perfect frame.
He really does. Big, broad shoulders.
This ball on the ground, deep short. And a long throw out at first base. Tejada's throwing the dirt, but Murphy stayed on the bag for the second out. See if the Rockies, I'm sure, will take a look at that inside with Brian Jones.
They're going to wait a minute because that would be the third out. And Walt says,
I said
let's
2
go.
outs, excuse me, 3 outs.
Let's go to the headset. Because this ball pulled Daniel Murphy off the bag.
Oh, he's way off the bag.
He's way off the bag. He's going to be safe.
That'll be another infield hit. I don't think where he had to go get the baseball, Jeff, you can give him an error.
No, not as deep as Tejada had to throw that from.
All right, this should break a new record. Even the crowd already knows. There it is. $30 seconds. 40 seconds. 40 seconds.
Well, that was from the time they had to walk over there to get on headset and then come back and give us a call.
So it is an infield hit. Ben Paulson takes ball 1. DJ stole second when he reached in the second inning. So the Rockies have had a base runner in scoring position. Then Hundley, probably the best hit ball by a Rocky tonight was Nick with DJ at second base. I thought initially he hit it out.
Sounded good, just missed it by a grain on the bat.
Hit it to the warning track and left. A towering fly ball, but you could tell he barreled it. This ball's lined to left field, but Cespedes is there. And that'll end the frame. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. No score. Chris Russin hanging tough with Matt Harvey. to you by the all-new Ford F-150. It's not just a truck, it's the future of tough. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Rockies trying to snap a 7-game losing streak here at Citi Field. What's interesting about that is that the Rockies, prior to that, had an 8-game winning streak at Citi Field. The former Rocky, the former batting champ Michael Kadire, he had a fly ball to right his first time, and he's taken strike one against Chris Russin. Twice an All-Star in a 15-year big league career, and the breaking ball is pulled foul. So it's quickly a 2-strike count on Kadire.
Well, as Jenny mentioned in her piece, a little closer to home for Michael, the family, kids are in school. Makes it easier for him to hop down on a day off. That was a quick pitch from Chris Russin.
I noticed that. That was one that would get LaTroy Hawkins smiling.
That's probably who he learned it from.
Wilmer Flores will come up. Find the latest Albuquerque Isotopes jerseys, T-shirts, novelties, and much more at abqisotopes.com. Albuquerque Isotopes, proud AAA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. We got some hats coming from our friends down in Albuquerque. John Traub, their outstanding general manager, kind enough to pass those along. They have great looking unis down there. They do.
Albuquerque with the day off yesterday, and they're play Fresno tonight down in Albuquerque.
Ball and a strike on Flores. Flores a base hit his first time. Got some pops, got 11 home runs.
Well, Rockies real time this Friday night too. They took a trip down to Albuquerque, so you won't want to miss that.
That's fair. And Parker gets it back in, so it's a 1-out double for Flores.
The legend's going to grow even more with Wilmer Flores. 18th double of the season. You know you hit it hard when you get it past the diving Nolan Arenado. That ball was hit hard.
Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, at a deep fly ball to right, takes his turn. 2 for 4, the home run yesterday. Just came off the DL on the 31st of July. He had a left elbow strain.
He was in a collision with A.J. Brzezinski.
On the DL earlier this year. In fact, he was healthy for 10 days before that collision. And right back on the shelf.
That's a catcher for you. Always dealing with some ailment. And he made a mechanical adjustment going into yesterday's game. He'd come off a 3 strikeout performance on Sunday, and he moved up closer to the plate and opened up more. So he moved his right foot closer to the plate, but his left foot further away from the plate so he could use both eyes to see better. And that was his reasoning for it.
Guys are always tinkering.
Always.
d'Arnaud last year hit 13 home runs and 385 at bats. Cargo had a good jump, makes the play. And that'll bring up Ruben Tejada.
They're going to put Ruben on.
Pitch to Matt Harvey, though Matt Harvey has one of the hardest hit balls against Chris in this game, but you understand it still makes sense. So there is the fourth wide one, and Tejada to first, and it'll bring up Matt Harvey. He was robbed of a hit, a great play by Jose Reyes back in the third.
Well, the Rockies in the Baseball Tomorrow Fund will be holding their annual baseball equipment drive prior to the game on Saturday, August 15th against the Padres. New and used equipment can be dropped off at all gates. Proceeds benefit the baseball programs at Denver Public Schools.
Make a good decision there. You know, Harvey's probably
geared.
sitting on that fastball.
Yeah, he's thinking, I'm going to get a fastball. This is what he did back in the third inning. Good play by the shortstop, Jose Reyes.
And he went right back to it.
Well, why not throw a third one?
He did, and it worked out beautifully. So a 3-pitch strike out of Harvey. 2 Mets left on base. We turn the page to inning number 5. Still scoreless. Very much, Corey. Thank you. The Rockies and the Mets, nothing doing. The Rockies have a couple of infield hits. DJ LeMahieu is going to lead things off here for the Rockies in the 5th inning. Average fastball velocity, 3rd best among starters in baseball. Matt Harvey at 96. And whenever you think about the Tommy John surgery, there are so many shining examples of guys who return to form, and Matt Harvey's one of them. Adam Ottavino on the mend. At some point next year, he'll be back in the fold. I'm sure throwing in the upper 90s again.
Tyler Chatwood's been throwing. He's on the mend.
Yep, another guy that's gone through 2 Tommy John surgeries, because Tyler had one in high school. 0-1 on LeMahieu, and that's at the knee, strike 2. You know, DJ played for the Harwich Mariners in the Cape Cod League, one of those storied Cape Cod clubs. And in 2008, when he was there, he had quite a club. They won the Cape League. Brandon Belt was his teammate. Dustin Ackley his teammate. And the right-hander reliever, you know, was Cincinnati J.J. Hoover.
No wonder they won it.
I was like, I hope you won.
You should have won it.
And that's where they faced Harvey.
Yeah, and that still is one of the premier leagues. If you can get into the Cape, you know you're on the radar. They used it way back when, in the early to mid 80s, Alaskan League was
pretty
one
prominent.
Of the, pretty prominent.
The Northwoods League in the upper Midwest has really come on strong.
I would say that's probably second.
I think a lot of scouts would concur with you that it's probably number 2, but there's a number of good leagues.
Just getting a chance to play some more in the summertime is the key. There's a league up in the Northwest, up in Oregon, Washington, one out in California. You have the Jayhawk League.
You know, one thing about the Cape League that maybe people don't realize, a lot of the fields they use are high school fields.
And they have to take care of them themselves.
Yep.
They rake them after they're done.
Yeah, DJ went around. Harvey's 3rd strikeout. And that'll bring up Nick Hundley. Nick's hitting 4 of his last 5, 8 for 19. Again, he came close to hitting one out in the 2nd inning with LeMahieu aboard. The other guys that played for Harwich, Tim Lincecum played for Harwich. Kevin Gosman from Grandview High School, Baltimore Orioles now by way of LSU. 1-1.
Didn't Brody Weiss play back on the Cape this year? Pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
I got to ask Wall which team it was.
Brody's also played in the Northwoods League. 1-2. Walt grew up a Yankees fan. It's the 1-2, and it's fouled off.
But I will say this, with the Mets and what they're doing this year, I think I saw more Mets jerseys and T-shirts and hats out in the city the last couple of days than I have Yankees fans. It used to be, I mean, anywhere you come to New York, for especially the last 5 or 6 years, you would see Yankee stuff everywhere.
The Met fans were in hiding. 6 straight losing seasons. Off the plate, good eye from Hundley, 2-2. Well, listen, the Yankees are having a good year. Last weekend notwithstanding, when Toronto came in and swept them. Back-to-back shutouts. And back-to-back strikeouts now for Harvey. First time that's happened. Kyle Parker will be next with 2 outs. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code's RocksWin at papajohns.com. Mets have not been in the postseason since 2006, 2008, their last winning season. But New Yorkers again woke up today and they saw the Yankees in first by a 1.5 games in the AL East over Toronto. surging Toronto, and the Mets a game and a half north of Washington in the NL East. 1-1 on Parker. He popped up to shortstop in the third. Uribe couldn't handle it. That'll be another infield hit. The Rockies have 3 hits. None have left the infield.
DJ had the base hit down the third base line that Uribe had a tough time handling, and he beat it out. And now on the bare hand, ball pops up at the last moment.
And Juan's always been an outstanding fielder, but it just gives you greater appreciation for all the things Nolan Arenado does, because it's like his hand, his bare hand play, you think he's wearing his Rollins glove.
Yeah, because it goes in there. It's like Velcro.
Russin will ground out to end the 5th inning. Still scoreless. Wyoming. Thanks for watching the Rockies on Root Sports, and be sure to tell us where you're watching from on Twitter at RootSports_RM using the hashtag WhereWeRoot. Pine Bluffs, Wyoming.
It's about 40 miles east of Cheyenne on I-80.
Been there?
I have been to Pine Bluffs.
Mr. Wyoming. Chris Russin's done a nice job matching up with Matt Harvey, and now the tricky part for any pitcher, the 3rd time through a lineup. Juan Lagares, a double and a single tonight. He has 2 of the Mets' 5 hits.
One for Chris, too. The numbers bear it out. 3rd time through, his walks go up and the strikeouts go down. But it's not unusual. Most pitchers will do that. And the batting average is it's down from the first 2 times.
I just like how focused Chris Russin is, how he competes.
I do too. I mean, that's what you want from anybody on the hill. I said it about John Gray last night. His mound presence last night was outstanding.
Chatted with him in the clubhouse, and John, I said, what were you most proud of? And he said, the conviction I had with my fastball.
And it showed. Because he was coming inside on 2-0 counts with major league hitters that are thinking, I want to get the barrel out, I want to get the head of the bat out to hit a home run, and he was blowing up their bat.
We talked to some of the Mets, and they were and hitters are reluctant. You were an offensive player. They're reluctant to heap praise on a guy, but the Mets were very, very impressed with John Gray. And the lefties in particular saying, if he threw that hip side 98, 97 mile an hour pitch that comes back over the inside corner, he said he's a bear.
Yeah, Granderson on that pitch in the first inning, got Duda with it in the second inning. Both of those guys looking on the same pitch.
Nicely done. Chris Russin comes back and gets Lagares after he had doubled and singled. That's the third strikeout.
Yeah, slider to the back foot. Really pulls down hard once he finishes out in front to get that late movement.
Daniel Murphy is single his last time. At the knees. Sam Holbrook with the call. Neither team has seen third base.
A couple times tonight when guys have been out at second base is when Chris has been his most effective. The leadoff double, didn't score in the first inning, and then a double in the fourth inning. Throwing that intentional walk and then strike out of Matt Harvey.
2 strikes on Murphy, career .290 hitter in the big leagues.
He always hit. He's been playing some second, some third, never really a position for him. Probably more second than anything, but he'd slide over to third when David Wright would not be able to play.
Paulson with a perfect feed as he led Chris Russin in front of the bag. 2 gone. That'll bring up Cespedes, a line out and a strikeout. And maybe the biggest out of this game from Chris Russin's standpoint, when he struck out Cespedes with 2 aboard in the third inning.
He had worked him down and away, got ahead in the count, and then surprised him with an elevated fastball to get really an uneasy swing from Cespedes.
Want to know on Jonas. Russin fields his position well, and that's a beautiful 5th inning for Chris Russin. Quick and efficient through the top of the Mets order. To the 6th we go. There's nothing to recap offensively. It's all about the two pitchers. You know about Matt Harvey's resume, but Chris Russin has stepped up. He's allowed 5 hits. He's struck out 3. Just 1 walk. That was an intentional one. And he has really gone pitch for pitch with Matt Harvey.
Even less pitches than Matt Harvey through 5 innings. Just a couple, but still, for Chris Russin, he's proved every bit. That's a fun thing, competing. I know you're pitching against the Mets, but he's also pitching against Matt Harvey.
Sure. Charlie Blackmon will lead it off. Charlie, fly ball to left field and the ground ball to first. That's inside. So now it's the Rockies' turn. 3rd time through seeing Harvey.
5 ground outs, 6 flyouts, 4 strikeouts for Matt Harvey.
And this one on the ground to second. Flores, 1 out. Jose Reyes coming up. Carlos Gonzalez on deck. Let's check in downstairs one more time with Jenny. Jenny?
Yeah, with Jose Reyes up, that means Carlos Gonzalez on deck. And I got the chance to talk to him yesterday about this lineup construction without Troy Tulowitzki in it. And, you know, I mentioned to him there's not that Cargo Tulo punch you used to have, and he kind of laughed about it. But I said, now you have the Cargo Arenado punch. Are you getting used to it? Is that a good feeling for you? And he said, yeah, I love it. I love playing next to Arenado, the competitive spirit he brings to the game, his energy. He's such a great offensive player this year, adding that to his resume as Jose Reyes lines one out in a great play to right field there. But with Cargo coming up again, he has the opportunity to do something special with Nolan Arenado and continue that tradition of having power in the lineup combined when they're in games. 32 games they've played in the 3-4 hole. They have 20 combined home runs and 48 RBI. So it could be a very special combination for the future of the Rockies.
Yeah, I think it could be really special. Look at that, 53 home runs between the two of them. Cargo coming up right now. And listen, Cargo was really hot before the trade of Tulowitzki. We've seen those two in the past working great tandem. They both battled a lot of injuries the last couple of years. But you know what? I think Cargo's sense is that, you know, he and Nolan are the guys now, and he's running with it.
Well, and I'm sure in the back of his mind, too, he heard the whispers and the rumblings. Am I going to be traded? Am I going to be the guy who, you know, how long am I going to be here? And now that that's passed, I just feel like, okay, this is kind of my team now. I am the guy. Yeah, Nolan's right behind me, and maybe we work together as a 1-2 punch, and it's a great 1-2 punch.
1-0 on Carlos. Hard ground out to second and a strikeout on the changeup. And this is in the air to left field. Routine play for Cespedes. And Harvey, just like Chris Russin did, gets the top of the order, 3rd time through in order. Up to the Rockies. Chris Russ in a 10-pitch fifth inning. Juan Uribe will be first in the bottom of the sixth. Russin and Harvey. That has been the story tonight at Citi Field. Game 2 of a 4-game set. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson, and Jenny Cavnar top foul.
Chris is trying to match what Matt Harvey did last inning. That was a 6-pitch inning for Matt.
Since Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson arrived from Atlanta, if you look at Matt Harvey, the Mets are 11-4. Well, if they ever make a statue of Juan Uribe back in the Dominican, you know what his face will look like.
He signed with the Rockies as a free agent. And that's how he started his career. Came up as a shortstop.
And back in 1997 he signed. He's had a great career. Boy, that's a good pitch. 2-2.
Cut fastball.
Yeah, he's hitting every quadrant of the strike zone. He's been solid up when he needs to. Obviously down and in and out. He wants the slider again. And he got him to Chase.
Again, let's give some credit, though, but to the guy behind the plate. I know the pitcher has to throw it, but let's give some of the credit to Nick Hundley. Calling the game he is last night. And what he did with John Gray last night. I mean, he worked in and out, called the pitches, and was right in sync. And now he goes back-to-back sliders to get Juan Uribe. He called back-to-back changeups on Matt Harvey to strike him out in the 5th inning or the 4th inning.
Here's Kadire after the nice catch last inning. He's hit 2 fly balls to Cargo. Well, in chatting with Nick today about Gray, and he worked with him in spring training, he said his stuff was electric. I mean, he had an exploding fastball. He located well. He was really excited about. And the whole clubhouse with DJ LeMahieu was talking about it.
Still a buzz this afternoon.
Absolutely, there was a buzz. And the Rockies realize that, listen, they have a really good nucleus of position players. They have some young pitchers coming, and the headliner, I mean, fair or unfair to put a lot of pressure on a young guy, but Gray has a chance to be something the Rockies haven't had very much in their history. The only guy with similar stuff was Ubaldo Jimenez. I mean, there was an upper 90s where guys would go back with their mouth agape back to the dugout saying, holy smokes, what did I just see?
Yeah, so it's nice to see John do the same thing in his start tonight.
That's a base hit for Kadire.
You can follow the Rockies with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live Rockies baseball. At Bat is up to the minute with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, StatCasts, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat now.
This has proven to be one of the tougher outs in the Mets lineup tonight. Wilmer Flores, a single and a double. 1 out, Kadire at first. The Mets came from behind yesterday for the 17th time this year. That's one of the better totals in the game.
17th time at home.
At home, I should say, right.
27th overall.
That's foul.
Watch it, Tim.
Yep, Tim Tuffle jumping out of the way.
One of those great Mets team. Late 80s. Back when they had Sid Fernandez. Doc Gooden.
Always had pitching.
Oh. No fun to play at Shea.
And this park is similar. I know you guys probably chatted about it last night. For the second time, they moved the fences in a little bit. They did it this time in right center and along the line a little bit in right. Just a couple of feet in some areas, about 8 to 10 feet out in right center. It's made a difference, but it still plays very fair, and it's still a strike. It's a real good pitcher's park.
That's the only thing similar between Shea Stadium and Citi Field is the dimensions of the ballpark.
Yeah.
The rest of it, not so much.
Well, people would get nostalgic about Shea,
yeah, okay.
But as Walt Weiss said earlier, he goes, this place is a palace, and Shea was not.
Nostalgic to me means old. And it wasn't a good playing surface. I didn't like playing there. It just was uneven. Ball wasn't true. It just seemed like the planes were right on top of you. I know they fly across here and you can still hear it, but over there, I don't think they had the landing gears up yet.
Yeah, the ducks up.
Yeah, right. Heads up, wheel coming through.
Right. Russell's been able to, when he comes in, come in off the plate. So if the ball's barreled, they've been pulled foul.
The last two pitches have been that. The last one was a changeup. Worked inside more than Chris wanted.
And another foul ball.
We saw that sign. It was for his fastball, but he wanted the quicker tempo. That's why you also saw the thumb with the fastball. 8th pitch of this at bat coming up between Chris and Wilmer. Straight sinking fastball away.
Well hit center field, but Blackman is there. And that is the second out. So Flores retired, and the catcher Darno will come up.
9th fly out for Chris to go along with 4 groundouts, 4 strikeouts.
Darno, a deep fly ball to right and a more routine fly ball to Cargo. This is his 8th game back since his latest stint on the DL, and this is to deep short. Reyes won't be able to throw him out. So an infield hit for Travis. Kadire to second.
The only option for Reyes was to try to go across the diamond. As far as he had to reach for it, it would have been impossible for him to get his body turned and make the throw to second. Probably should have just eaten it, just not even throwing it. But every infielder thinks they can make a spectacular play even when they shouldn't. I think that's why he was smiling. He's like, yeah, probably should go ahead and put that one in my back pocket.
Now you have Tejada at the plate. They walked him last time up, but first base is occupied now. You have Harvey on deck. can afford to be careful here. Not that you ever want to load the bases, but you can't imagine that Terry Collins is going to yank Harvey.
Could be a case of unintentional walk where you're saying, okay, I'm going to see if he'll bite at something, but I'm not going to give him anything over, even a third of the plate.
When the game is potentially on the line, and I understand it's just the bottom of the sixth inning as Christian Bergman's getting loose. You make decisions who you will allow to beat you and who you won't allow to beat you.
And you also know that the Mets, they just don't give up any runs. Their starters have allowed 2 runs or less in 12 out of the last 15 games. They're going to be playing one-run affairs.
Hard on the ground through the right side. Cargo to the baseball. Here comes Kadire. Throw to the plate. Not going to get him. He was hit far enough toward right center. And Kadire with the 2 outs got the big jump. And it's 1-0 New York. So Russin tried to be careful with Tejada. And Tejada punches a single to right. And the Mets have the first run of the ball game.
And this is where he hit the ball last night, just to right field. It wasn't hit hard enough to allow Cargo to come up and make a throw to get Kadire at the plate. Michael, a good jump and beats the throw. Ruben Tejada's 21st RBI of the season.
Matt Harvey.
Look here, Chris, I know you're disappointed, you're frustrated, you gave up the 1 run, but don't make it any larger. Don't mess around and lose your focus with Harvey at the plate.
Probably be his last inning. 0-2. Mid-90s in terms of pitches.
Harvey has 7 RBIs in the season. He leads all National League pitchers.
And a strikeout of Harvey, the 5th for Russet, but the Mets take the lead on a 2-out single by Ruben Tejada. Hada. Chris Russin shouldn't hang his head. He, if he's done, pitched a beautiful game in 6 innings, matching up with Matt Harvey. Now the Mets have to help out Chris Russin as they come to bat in the top of the 7th. The NL East standings are brought to you by DirecTV. So the Mets lead the Nationals, who are on the West Coast this week. 2 more with the Dodgers, and then they go to San Francisco for 4. The Braves 10 games under 500. The rest of the division, the Phillies, because of what they've done in the second half, have actually overtaken the Marlins, who have been most disappointing. I understand they're playing without Giancarlo Stanton, but they'd hope to contend.
Yeah, and Jose Fernandez is back on the shelf again with the bad shoulder.
Arenado in the 7th inning. Nolan a line out and an infield single. 1-0 New York.
And Matt Harvey's been just as advertised. 6 innings, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks.
1 out. Tejada takes care of Arenado, and that'll bring up Ben Paulson, a strikeout and a line drive to left. The Rockies have been limited to 3 hits, all of the infield variety. There's Walt congratulating Chris Russin. Man, he gave the Rockies virtually everything he could ask for.
Nice start for Chris, too, because he had come in his last 3 starts. He'd pitched just 5 innings in each of those, had an ERA of 7.80. Opponents were hitting 400 against him, so he corrected whatever had ailed him those last 3 starts. No matter where you have the ankle guard, you're still going to find an open spot. Get it on the instep.
Unless you put one of those spacesuits on. I don't know how well those spacesuits are padded.
You can't move very well in them.
In the spacesuit?
Yeah, it's tough to swing.
No, the new version of the spacesuits give you great flexibility.
True. I was already thinking about the older model.
You were thinking the Neil Armstrong era models.
I always like that. Trainer comes out. Does this hurt? Yeah. How about this right there? Yeah, that hurts too.
It'd be good if they came out and said, listen, nothing's going to help you right now because it hurts like heck. But in time, it'll feel better.
It will, and you just stand out there, let the guy bide some time. I just remember that cold spray they used to have. That stuff was the best. Just freeze it.
Yeah, they've 86'd that. I haven't seen that spray in a long time.
Yeah, but it felt good because you couldn't feel anything.
What about Doogie? Doogie saw the barber, huh?
They did it Monday here in New York.
Is it the clubhouse barber?
I'm not sure. I just saw he got a haircut. Got to tighten up a little around the ears.
One and two. He started out the ball game with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And that last delivery, pitch number 83, right at 96. And Ben pulls this one to the right field corner. And the Rockies will have their first extra base hit. So with 1 out, the tying run at second. What time of the night is it?
It's late.
And that's when you see Ben do most of his damage.
He says, what problem with my foot? I'm going to come back inside. I'll jump on that fastball inside. He tried to elevate away. He missed location by a foot. And Ben didn't miss the pitch.
DJ LeMahieu, he has one of the Rockies' 4 hits. Again, 3 infield hits, and then that. So the first, I put this in quotations, legitimate hit against Matt Harvey. And the Rockies 1 hit away from maybe tying it up. And this one's going to sneak foul into the stands. Kadyr's read the scouting report. Of course, he played with DJ. He's not all that far off the right field line.
He'll stop in a minute. He's kind of walking that way, but for DJ, 58 hits to right field, 50 to center. Only 18 to left, but one of those 18 was the other day in Washington when he drove in 2 runs.
Off the plate, 1-1. Matt Harvey, a Connecticut kid, as we were discussing earlier. North Carolina has always done a very good job recruiting kids out of the Northeast. This ball lined, but it's caught, and Paulson's doubled up. He didn't read that well as Flores really had it about shoulder high. So Paulson doubled off second. It remains 1-0. What now? I'm trying to think. Is this almost looks like it's after a game? The grounds crew's working on the field. That or he's there very early. Not sure. Got good seats though.
A good picture.
Very close friend of Jeff Hughes. He's the pin man at the ballpark tonight.
He really doesn't like it when you go up and kind of slap him on the back.
Probably not. Rafael Betancourt in the bottom of the 7th inning. Juan Lagares, Daniel Murphy, Jonas Cespedes, top of the order. The Mets lead 1-0 on a 2-out single by Ruben Tejada to drive in Michael Kadir.
Raffy was part of that crew on Sunday that came in and picked up 4 1/3 innings in relief, allowing the Rockies to beat Washington 6-4 to cap off the taking 2 of 3 from the Nats.
Here's the 0-1. And there's vintage Rafael Betancourt painting the outside corner, 0-2. Mets are tough at home, 39-18, tied with the Pirates, second best home record in the league to the Cardinals. 0-2, and that's lined to right. Carr goes there, and his sure hands make the catch. That'll bring up Daniel Murphy. So Chris Russell goes 6 innings. He allows a run on 8 hits, just 1 walk. That was intentional, and he struck out 5. And again, the old line, if you ask Walt Weiss going into the ball game, this is what you're going to get from Russin. 1 run in 6 innings. Will you take it? He'd say absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, who would you take that from any of your starters?
Any of your starters going up against Matt Harvey tonight, you know runs are going to be tight.
Murphy 1 for 3 outside. Chris Russin's debut performance in New York, a good one. Tommy Murphy heating up in Albuquerque, member of the United States Pan American team out of the University of Buffalo. And this is cued toward third, and look at Nolan. I told you.
What did you talk about earlier in the game?
His bare hands like a Rawlings Gold Glove.
And this has some sideways action on the baseball because it's hit off the end of the bat. So it's coming at you, it's spinning sideways, you're picking it up. And when you barehand a ball, you have to work underneath it. And most times when you work underneath it, you end up grabbing it like a changeup. So did you see how quickly he changed it from 4 fingers to a 2-finger grip to get rid of it?
Explain that throw too, Jeff, because you know it's going to tail. So, you can't really just aim at the first baseman.
No, you aim towards the outfield, and you really throw the left shoulder and the left hip to get that ball with enough momentum on it to make that throw to first and get it all the way in the air. So you started about 3 feet on the outfield side of first base and knowing that it's going to drift back.
He does that and so many other things defensively better than anybody. Cespedes with 3 on the left side. Big swing and a miss. It's 1-1. Bottom of the 7th inning, 1-0. And that's hit to Nolan again. Strong inning for Rafael Betancourt. So we move to the 8th inning. Rockies with just 6 outs of offense left. Down a single run to Matt Harvey. Tacos fans, follow at @RootsSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. The Rockies' last 7 games in New York, they have scored a grand total of 7 runs. If you include tonight, 7 2/3, and they've scored 7 runs, 5 via home run. So runs have been very difficult for the Rockies to come by here in New York. Matt Harvey's still out there, and Nick Hundley hits it to short. Ruben Tejada.
In 2 of the 7 losses, they've been shut out, and they're being shut out again tonight.
Kyle Parker will bat next, and then Daniel Descalso's in the on-deck circle. Harvey's thrown only 88 pitches with 1 out in the 8th inning. He gets run out of games. You see John Axford at times because the pitch count's elevated, not because he has deep counts. Jeff told you he doesn't walk anybody. He averages 1.99 walks per game coming in, which is just outstanding. But when you strike a lot of guys out, you know you have to throw at least 3 pitches to strike somebody out.
Well, and they get some foul balls thrown in there.
Yeah, see how much movement that had? Harvey throws out Parker.
Well, if you look at the list that Matt Harvey is on with some of the other guys in Mets history, one of the fastest to get up to the win total that he's had.
His record is not, earth-shattering. You look at the stuff, you look at the ERA, but the Mets, because they don't score a lot, came in 22-17 in his career. There's 5 games above 500, but the ERA 2.53. That's big time.
Yeah, there's some things you can't control. I mean, the number of runs that are being scored for you when you're out there, but the ERA, when you're on a list with Doc Gooden, Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, Sid Fernandez.
Well, and the only guys who have better ERAs through the first 57 games are Gooden, Seaver, and Kuzman. You're doing just fine.
Tom terrific with his number retired.
1 ball, 1 strike on Descalso.
Emulated Tom Seaver with the drop and drive and get that back knee dirty. Remember, he used to just wear out his right knee pad and pant leg.
That's not taught really anymore. It's tall and can get a downhill plane. And Seaver, for being one of the greatest right-handers in the history of the game, it's not like he was 6'4", 6'5". Seaver was 6 foot.
And then would drop even lower by the time he delivered the baseball.
Helps when you throw 96. 2-2 on Descalso. 3-2. What you're hoping from a Rockies standpoint is exactly what's transpired, that Descalso saw some pitches and moves that number closer to 100. I hope, even though Familia is terrific, you get Harvey out of there in the 9th inning. This one is very close to the line, but caught there by Cespedes. 10 in a row, 10 of 11 retired by Matt Harvey. on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. Chrysler Building on the right, the Empire State Building in front of you. Turned into a pretty New York evening, except for the scoreboard. The Mets up on the Rockies 1-0. John Axford is going to throw the bottom of the 8th inning. He'll face Juan Uribe, Michael Kadire, a couple of former Rockies, and then Wilmer Flores.
We're hoping the last couple outings has kind of turned the corner for John. He's come out and attacked the strike zone better, had better command of his fastball, was the winning pitcher on Sunday, throwing an inning and a third, a strikeout in that game. In that inning and a third, just 21 pitches thrown.
Uribe is 3 for his last 31 at the plate, 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out his last time on a good slider from Chris Russin in the dirt. Russin struck out 5 Mets. Now that's one of the issues with John. You can tell he's frustrated with himself. Is there too many 2-0 counts.
And balls that aren't real close to the strike zone that are inviting for a hitter. That's why I said you hope he'd kind of turn the corner, because the last outing he wasn't that way. That bad stretch, 4 or 5 games in a row. Comes back, gets a ground ball out.
And Reyes throws out Uribe.
I've been talking about the Padres. Well, you want to catch them when they come to town this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, August 14th, 15th, and 16th. Get your tickets today. Montreal Rockies take on the San Diego Padres.
Kadire singled in the 6th inning with 1 out. Then Darno had the infield hit. Remember that, to deep short. That pushed Kadire to scoring position, and then with 2 outs, Ruben Tejada punched a ball through the right side to score Kadire. That's it in this game. 1-0 New York in the bottom of the 8th. And that is a great curveball from Axford.
The difference is when it's an 0-1 count, you'll get a swing and a miss on a curveball. If you're, as a hitter, if you're 1-0, probably not fishing there. Another guy tonight, John, who went with the quick pitch. Chris Russin did it 2 different times.
Maybe that is the influence.
Has to be.
LaTroy. Here's the 1-2.
What are you trying to do as a pitcher? Disrupt the hitting of the timing of the hitter.
Jeurys Familier is throwing in the Mets bullpen. Terry Collins during the break had an extended conversation with Matt Harvey. It wasn't just, go over, extend your hand and give him a hug as if your day's done. It almost didn't look like to you he was asking him how he felt.
How do you feel? You have 97 pitches that you've thrown, 8 innings. The most you've gone this year is 8 2/3. Do you want to try for the complete game? You tell me how you feel, and that's a veteran manager asking a guy that has a little history on his side, what he wants to do.
2-2 curveball is pulled foul.
I know managers really want to look in the eye of that guy, not just hear what he has to say. Yeah, I want to go out there, but really look in his eyes. Does he have conviction behind that?
Two, and that's left up, and it's swatted into left field for a base hit. So Kadire with a 2-hit night. Here was, as Wilmer Flores comes up, here was, we'll show you the conversation. Terry Collins walks over to Matt Harvey. And normally in that situation, it's pretty quick. Hey, great job. You know,
pat him on the back.
Pat him on the back. Shake his hand.
And then you would have the pitching coach standing right there, and he's not saying anything. Don Warford.
Right center field. Car goes there. 2 outs.
For Matt Harvey, 2 starts ago, he threw 109 pitches. His season high is back at Atlanta in June with 115.
And the Rockies have the top of the order in the 9th inning. Axford will try to get Travis d'Arnaud now. The other thing about closers, especially in a tight game, most managers prefer to give them a clean slate rather than have the starter falter and then the closer inherits traffic. He's the one guy in the bullpen that typically never inherits traffic.
Always comes in with the clean slate to start an inning. Occasionally it might be for 1 out in the 8th.
And Familia, you know, has been throwing, and the way he's throwing to me would indicate he's coming in. There's another thing that typically happens in big league baseball. That closer gets up, he's coming in. The other thing is, it's not as if they're turning to a guy they don't trust.
Well, the Mets don't have an off day until the 17th, so another 6 days from now.
(1-0) on d'Arnaud. Two and one. There goes Kadire, and the throw is going to go into center field. Kadire is going to end up at third. We've seen Michael get stolen bases before, and it's generally like that, kind of a sneak attack. Second stolen base.
And this was, he just took off, never looked back. Throw sailed into the outfield. DJ couldn't get around because it had so much tail on it. And Michael popped up off of that bag. Took off. That'll go down to the stolen base for a second, as you said, the 4th error of the season on Nick.
3-1 on d'Arnaud. Good pitch.
That's just 1 for 9, but that was a big one that they had with runners in scoring position.
3-2 misses. The walk start to Travis d'Arnaud will bring up Tejada. He's 2 for 3, or 1 for 3. Excuse me. Intentional walk, 1 for 2.
But so far,
reading my own scorebook wrong.
And so far, the hero of this game.
That one was in the 6th inning to drive in Kadire, who stands at third right now. This is big. Axford's got to keep it a 1-run game.
It was with 2 outs last time that he drove in the run.
It's the 1-0. And another one of those 2-0 counts. Innings keep getting extended for John, even when he's been able to work out of it. They're typically 20-plus pitch innings.
Makes it tough to bring him back the next day. Hard for him to get into rhythm pitching wise. So he ends up throwing a day, having a day off, throwing a day, another day off. It's been the pattern since last Wednesday. Through Wednesday, off Thursday, through Friday, off Saturday, through Sunday, off last night.
Curtis Granderson has come out on deck to hit for Matt Harvey. So that removes any doubt. And it would be Familia in the 9th.
Boone Logan, the left-hander, up to the pin for Colorado.
Faked in the whole way. Naturally, it's 3-1 on Ruben Tejada. There goes the runner, ball 4. So now they're loaded up for Granderson, and Wall will be forced to bring in the lefty Logan to face Granderson. Bases loaded with 2 outs in the 8th inning. And Boone Logan, when we come back, will face Curtis Granderson. 1-0 Mets. Pinch hitter will be Curtis Granderson, and the Rockies will counter with Boone Logan. It's time for the CenturyLink link to what's next. What a pitching matchup tomorrow. Jorge De La Rosa looking for his 8th victory, and he'll take on another flamethrower, Jacob deGrom, who is 10-6 with a 2.13 ERA. Here's deGrom. You can't miss him.
Well, for Boone Logan, this is a carbon copy of what you had last night. Difference was last night it was the 7th inning. Tonight it's the 8th, but he comes in with the bases loaded and facing Curtis Granderson again.
And a strike on Granderson.
Last night, Boone Logan hit Granderson with a 3-2 pitch to drive in a run.
And you can see he has not hit lefties this year. That's one of the reasons he wasn't in the lineup tonight. Just 159. Fastball with some velocity misses away, 1-1. Granderson has hit 19 home runs. One of those guys that will have the distinction of playing for both the Yankees and the Mets. Here's the 1-1. Did he go? Third base umpire Chad Fairchild gives the strike indication, 1-2.
Get a look to see. Tough to tell from that angle. This will give us a clear picture. It's right on the borderline of going, but in Chad's estimation, he went. That's the only guy that matters.
Make one more pitch. Again, the Rockies will have the top of the order in the top of the 9th. Here's the 1-2. Oh. How did that not hit him?
Yeah, that's what Curtis is saying. And then why did I jump out of the way? With his natural instinct for a hitter.
How did that not hit him?
I don't know.
Fortunately, it did.
I know, or at least catch part of the jersey.
Slider, and now it's 3-2, and this is all too familiar. He got hit with a 3-2 pitch last night.
After a walk, or 2 walks and a base hit to start the inning, and this was last night when he gets hit by the pitch. Tried to throw a slider, and wore it on his elbow. The one tonight almost hit him on the hip.
He misses, ball 4. Logan walks in a run, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead.
Again, 3 walks in the inning, just can't have it.
No.
Unacceptable.
Nope, and that bullpen continues to struggle. Steve Foster out there conversing. But yeah, you had a 2-1 lead yesterday. You had the great performance by John Gray, and then it's kicked away in the 7th inning. And tonight, you have the top of the order coming up in a 1-run game. I mean, listen, as good as Harvey was, you got him out of there. Familia's kicked 3 in the second half already.
Yeah, 3 out of the last 6, or 3 out of the last 7, I should say.
But now it's a 2-run game. And again, the issues for this Rockies bullpen of late continue. With Juan Lagares now stepping up with the bases loaded. But Granderson, back-to-back ball games with an RBI, and he never swung the bat.
Didn't have to lift it off his shoulder. Just 3 walks in this inning.
In the last two clubs the Rockies have played, this ball's hit well to left. Parker going back, it's over his head. Short hops the wall. The trail runner's Granderson. He'll stop at third. It's 4-0. And more than 25,000 roar their approval.
Third hit tonight for Lagares, 30th RBI in the season. Belt high fastball. You're ahead in the count. Take a more aggressive swing, and that's what he did. Hops off the wall, but drives in 2.
Well, before tonight, this is coming into the ball game. The Rockies bullpen in the second half, a 5.47 ERA. That's not going to get it done.
All 3 runs so far in this inning will be charged to John Axford.
Murphy's 1 for 4.
Eric O'Flaherty has now gotten up in the pen for the Mets. Christian Bergman again for Colorado.
Well, with the 4-run bulge, Terry Collins sits his closer down. Recently acquired Eric O'Flaherty.
Over with Clippard in the deal with Oakland.
Clippard's been really good so far for the Mets.
Real good last night.
Betancourt threw a spotless 7th after 6 strong innings from Chris Russin. But the 8th inning's been a disaster. Kadire a 1-out single. He has scored 2 of the 4 runs tonight. Then a walk to Darno, a walk to Tejada, a walk to Granderson. And then the 2-run double by Lagares. And it's another 3-2 count. We frequently talk about hitters trying to extract themselves from slumps. Pitchers getting slumps. And obviously John Axford's going through it. Boone Logan's going through it.
We thought that John maybe had extracted himself out of that after that outing 2 days ago. Tonight, 2 walks, and Boone, the inability to get the left-hander out. And that's why you're out in that bullpen. Lefties.
It's not only getting them out. I mean, now even with Murphy here, you got a 3-2 count again. You had that situation with Granderson yesterday. And this is fouled off. You walked him tonight on a 3-2 pitch.
And you gave up the double to the right-handed batter.
On the ground to short, it hit the runner. That'll end the inning. It hit Lagares. In the inning, 3 runs for the Mets. We'll go to the ninth, 4-0. Nothing game, now 4-0, and thus it'll be Eric O'Flaherty, recently acquired from Oakland, and not Familia. Granderson stays in the ball game. He's in right field for Michael Kadire. The Rockies have Blackman, Reyes, and Gonzalez. Another reason that Terry Collins opted to go with O'Flaherty.
Between Oakland and New York, not much of an ERA at 7.15. In fact, it's pretty high. 16 strikeouts, 13 walks. Right-handers have just been owning Eric O'Flaherty, but in his career, he has been tough on left-handers.
8 shutout innings from Matt Harvey. He allowed just 4 hits. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 4. Blackman's 0 for 3. Fly ball and a couple of ground balls tonight from Charlotte.
Couple different times on this road trip, the Rockies have come back from big deficits, 3 and 4 runs, but you can't continue to ask them to do that every ball game. I mean, 1 run's okay. You can fight through that. But after that long half inning, you're down by 4 going into the top of the ninth. It's just hard to continue to muster that up.
And this is a bouncer to second. And a good play by Wilmer Flores. He's not made an error since moving to second full time. Blackman retired, and the former Met Jose Reyes, who's 0 for 3, will come up. Jose had a base hit in his first at bat last night. He was caught stealing after that.
Now he's starting to get some boos. They were cheering him the first night. Now it's more boos for Jose.
Different crowd, huh?
Well, still not many people. Only 25,611 here.
A little surprising. Right center field. That one's going to touch down and go to the wall. So now the really boo is Reyes as a 1-out double.
Split the gap in right center field. First career hit off of Eric. Now 1 for 8. Third double with the Rockies.
O'Flaherty's been around for a while, the 30-year-old. Seattle, Atlanta, Oakland, and New York. Lefties in his career have hit just .204 against him. Cargo tonight. Ground ball to second. He hit it pretty sharply. A strikeout, a fly ball to left. Rockies have lost their last 7 straight at Citi Field, and they have scored only 7 runs, hit only 194.
And in danger of being shut out for the 3rd time in the last 8 games here.
Ball and a strike. Arenado on deck. Two and one.
Big strong wrist to hold up on that swing. Ergo holds up and then walks. They go, oh, I didn't do it.
Where you do that drill, dig into the bottom of the bucket
rice
of rice.
Bucket.
Get those hands and wrists strong. That's the second out. And that'll bring up Nolan. Arenado has one of the hits for the Rockies tonight, an infield hit. The only hit for the Rockies, or only 2 hits for the Rockies that left the infield. Ben Paulson had a double in the 7th to the right field corner. That's the only hit that left the infield against Harvey. And of course the double by Reyes here with 1 out in the 9th inning against O'Flaherty. 2 gone now. Arenado, the last hope for the Rockies to keep it going. We've all heard of that town, Walla Walla, Washington. I think some people think, does that really exist? Well, Eric O'Flaherty's from Walla Walla High School in Walla Walla, Washington.
Jeff Cirillo, part owner of the collegiate team that plays out of Walla Walla.
The Walla Walla Wallops. Folks, don't look that up. I made that up.
No, that's not the name of it.
People calling up looking for hats. On a Wallops hat. Good slider. Remember when O'Flaherty's with the Braves? He was a mid to high 90s guy.
Why from 2011 to 2014 he had one of those ERAs that was just above 2, about 8th best during that time out of the bullpen. Actually, it's a Walla Walla Sweets.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
This ball is in the air to deep left center field, but it is playable. Cespedes makes the catch, and the Rockies have been shut out 40-0 by the Mets. Matt Harvey gets the victory. He's 11-7. Chris Russin, who pitched very well, takes the loss. He is 3-5, and the Rockies have lost 8 consecutive ball games at Citi Field, and they've scored just 7 runs over those 8 games. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game provided tonight by one of the co-aces of the New York Mets, Matt Harvey. He allowed only 4 hits and 8 shutout innings, and again, 3 were of the infield variety. He struck out 4, didn't come close to walking a batter in an efficient 97 pitches. So the Connecticut native again with 11 victories now. 4-0 the final as we go west to our Root Sports studios in Denver. Here's Mark Scott and Corey Sullivan. Guys.
Okay, beautiful. Giddy up.